Hey, what's up, everybody? I just wanted to welcome you to an Honorable Mentions YouTube page. And this is a very exclusive trip in my own home where you will get to see a 20-year-long collection of VHS now converted over to DVD and Blu-ray. This is my personal collection. This is stuff that has gone and been distributed to wrestlers all across the promotions, the WWE, ROH, TNA Impact Global Force, whatever we're calling it this week, New Japan guys, all over the indies. Guys have been hitting me up for years for copies of these tapes. Let it be known, I have never ever made a profit on selling DVDs and VHS tapes. That is 100% fact, because the deal has always been, you supply me the DVDs, I'll make you copies of what I already own. Now, a little bit of backstory here in the DVD collection history. In 1998, I had my bar mitzvah. This was Thanksgiving weekend of 1998. In January, once my parents took all the money and gave me a little bit to spend, I went over to Circuit City and I bought myself the coolest invention of all time, and a picture will be coming to our social media soon. Our Twitter page, @AnHonorablePod, our Facebook, facebook.com/an-honorable-mention. Go check it out, of the dual deck VCR. Now, this thing was revolutionary when it came to collecting DVDs and VHS tapes. Now, in one slot, you would put in the tape that you would rent from your local video store. We had Blockbuster Video, we had Hollywood Video, we had Family Video, but the gems, the best stuff was found at the local spots. Tip Top Video in the Tip Top Mart Shopping Plaza. Video Safari, which had a jungle theme throughout the whole place. It was awesome. And these are all local chains. There was like 6 or 7 of each of these. There was Video Time. They had 8 locations. 8! And they all had unique stuff. So I could go, once I got my driver's license when I was 16, and drive all over Stark County and pick up all the most insane old school VHS tapes or the new releases that WWF and WCW were putting out. And I would come home, I would play them, and I would make my own copy because I would buy a blank tape at Sam's Club. I'd get them in a big bulk. Usually I think it was like 20 tapes for $10. And I'd have myself my very own copy of whatever it was I rented that week, be it Smack 'em Whack 'em or Great America Bash 89, Great America Bash 90, Wrestle War 90, Wrestle War 89. All the old school stuff, the Coliseum home video releases that I loved and I still to this day love, that are available on the WWE network. They're all limited, they're edited. I've got the original stuff on my own copies, and it's really awesome to go back and relive some of those memories now that I've taken a lot of these VHS tapes and converted them over to DVD. So right now we're going to take a little bit of a tour. This door right here is the magical door. Behind that door is my DVD collection. So join me, won't you, as we take a tour. Now we're going to take a step in. We're going to open the door. And the very first thing you see is a set of DVDs that I have not labeled yet, and these have to go out in the mail this week to some wrestlers. So once I label them and put people's names as to who's getting what, we'll be able to explore a little bit more detail into who exactly and what exactly those are. But as we take a wide shot here of the room, it's not a wide room, but it's very vertical. And we can kind of scan some of these shelves and just see how deep and how long this collection is. I mean, this collection goes back almost 20 years now. See, there's some Rogue VHS tapes, a best of Jody Fleisch, best of Low Key, MLW TV. How odd that's back. Wrestle Crap, How to Lose $80 Million in 1 year, WCW. Good job, guys. Eric Bischoff could cover that on 83 weeks. We've got some CZW. Some of these covers were, in fact, designed by one Alex Sugarfoot Payne. So, shout out to him. Got some Super Dragon, Evolution, Quackenbush, History of ECW. Some High Spot stuff. all sorts of things. A cool hardcore homecoming chair. All the SmackDowns that have ever existed, all the Raws that have ever existed are down that way. But I want to kind of slowly navigate my way back, and we'll kind of look at some of the cooler things. Obviously, you know, this is pretty sweet. This is WWF Metal and WWF Shotgun Saturday Night. Some of the B shows WWF had back in the day. We've got NXT, the entire run. The Cruiserweight Classic also on DVD. We've got that Macho Man unreleased set that just came out. Obviously, the WWF stuff nobody really cares about. It's all available on the network. You know, obviously some mediocre pay-per-views in here, aplenty. We've got WWE ECW, that's available on the network. All the Nitros, some great stuff there. But what I really wanted to highlight, and this stuff is not available on the network at all. Here's some WCW Saturday Nights from 1995, 94, 93. I have the entire run of WCW Saturday Night, and if you can't tell on these shelves, you can actually get 2 sets of DVDs in a row. So this WCW Saturday Night collection here, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, all on the backside. Just it's too hard to get to. But here's some other cool stuff. WCW Power Hour, WCW Worldwide. I've got the entire run of that. It's not available on the network. This is something I did a few years ago with my Evolve DVDs. I made compilations just to save some space. I took the show posters and put them in a case, and you know, unfortunately, I'm so far behind on my Evolve viewing. I did the same with PWG, and then of course here's some ECW pay-per-views, unedited, you know, unruined by the WWE. Some fan cams, also unruined by WWE. More ECW pay-per-views. But here's the gems. So here's every Coliseum home video that has ever existed, and a bunch of MSG house shows, you know, some stuff from the network, obviously. But these Coliseum home videos remind me a lot of my childhood. You know, Sean Mooney is a big star in them, Craig DeGeorge, Mean Gene, Bobby Heenan. Who could ever forget when Mean Gene and Bobby Heenan went to the golf course? That's on one of these sets. But every single solitary Coliseum home video that's ever existed is a part of this. Super Tape, the WWF Good Times home video collection. That was something that came after the era of Coliseum home video. Down here, of course, we've got more unlabeled stuff that I have to put away. This is stuff that belongs to me, that I have to edit and put some covers on so they can fit on the shelves. But this shelf here, and I'm going to try and accurately depict it as possible, is my favorite shelf. This rack of stuff. These are all custom-made compilations that I put together over the years, for the most part. Best of Dynamite Kid, a Kobashi comp, Vader, may he rest in peace, James Gibson in New Japan, Best of the Gaijin of the 70s and 80s. Of course, over here we've got Best of the Indies, some stuff from RF Video, Best of Spanky in Japan, some Flair stuff, an Undertaker Streak show DVD that I put together. Despite not being an Undertaker fan, was a big mark for the streak, and thought it was really cool until it got bastardized. Some Bryan Danielson compilations from back in the day. Again, a second Spanky one. That one's from Smart Mark Video. Claudio Castagnoli. Best of the U.S. handheld matches. I don't think people understand that back in the day, security wasn't so tough. So you used to be able to go take your handheld video camera into the shows that you were attending. And here's some of the cool matches that have never been released anywhere. You know, look at that. I mean, Sean and Brett, in I believe, a house show ladder match. Sabu and Lightning Kid, Flair and Brett in an Iron Man match. The Rock and Rolls and the Bulldogs. What a dream match that is. The famous Bruiser Brody and Luger cage match. Cactus Jack and Terry Funk against Stan Lane and Eddie Gilbert, amongst many other things. Pretty awesome stuff right there. Jeff Bowdren did a top matches of the 80s DVD set, and we'll highlight some of the things. Obviously, Flair, Sting, Midnights, a lot of Owen Hart, Stan Hansen, obviously Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Terry Funk. All sorts of really cool stuff on this set. But there's some VHS tapes. So those VHS tapes back there are the originals. I'll never throw them away. They were what I called the Best of Jeff set. And I did 5 volumes. And of those 5 volumes, a lot of them were NWA stuff that I would rip from VHS tapes and copy them over match by match. It was awesome. So those were like my original best of hybrids that I did. Here's the Jersey J Cup from 2004. That's a cool one. Jersey All Pro, Smarts Only. How about that for a fun show name? More CZW stuff. Down here we've got the DVD VR message board Mid-South Wrestling set that came out. There's a World Class that was on WWF 24/7 that was put together. Smoky Mountain compilation that I got from Cornette. All these old school Mid-South memories. Here's a Brian Pillman Memorial Show from 2000 VHS tape along with the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view. They did not deserve to be on the same disc with each other. Some random indies from back in the day. IWA East Coast, along with IWA Deep South, IWA Mid-South, more IWA Mid-South. I was a huge fan of that territory back in the late 2000s, 2006, 2007, etc. We've got the JT Lightning tournament from AIW, which is a Cleveland-based promotion. Great town for wrestling. JT Lightning, Chandler Biggins, 2 big influences in the Cleveland market, and they are missed, incredibly missed. But up here we've got something I know Chandler would love, and that's Memphis Wrestling. The Death Valley Driver message board did a couple volumes of Memphis stuff, and I love Memphis Wrestling, Memphis Heat, the documentary. We've got some shoot interview compilations that I put together because I just didn't want the extra cases. Up here we've got the Wrestling Road Diaries. We've got Wrestling Road Diaries 1, Wrestling Road Diaries 2, TOO exclamation point, and Wrestling Road Diaries 3, Funny Equals Money. We've also got some $5 wrestling, some U-Shoot comps, ring roasts, which I think is a great idea. A lot of kayfabe commentary stuff. PG-13, the shoot interview, Jamie Dundee, shoot interview here, Project Paul London, which is a riot unto itself, Brian Kendrick's Excellent Adventure, a lot of really fun stuff there. The Hardcore Homecoming stuff. I want to talk a little bit about that here in a second, but those are all the Hardcore Homecoming shows that were ever in existence. Fight Sports Midwest. If you remember that, you have way too much time on your hands, but what a great idea that was at one point. But what I really wanted to show you guys is the Pro Wrestling Noah collection. Pretty much from 2000 onward, I have every Pro Wrestling Noah major show that was released, and it's mixed in here. Obviously, I put some of the top gaijin on the side here. There's a very young-looking Davey Richards, Rocky Azucar Romero, Hiro Castagnoli. Here's the Briscoes tour. Navigation in Tokyo from '07. Of course, there's Doug Williams looking yoked as ever. Down here, there's some more. Kensuke Sasaki, Misawa, Nigel, more of the Briscoes, more of Kensuke Sasaki, a very young looking Bryan Danielson. But this entire run of Pro Wrestling Noah was just so amazing. And then, you can even look back to when Mike Awesome was over there. Low Key, who was once upon a time the most popular of exports from America. Now not so much. But then you get down here and you look at the evolution of Japanese wrestling, and here's the G1, which we're getting ready to head into the 2018 version of the G1. So this was 4 years ago. But these are all, shows from New Japan, which obviously I'm a huge collector of. More Noah back there. A lot of New Japan stuff in here. If you can see through the rack, it's not bright enough there, but there's some Mexico stuff in there. Here's some Pro Wrestling 01, which I wasn't a huge fan of. There's also some Dragon Gate in here somewhere. There's some more Mexican stuff, AAA and CMLL. But I'm not a big Dragon Gate style fan. Chikara, got a bunch of those releases down here. And, two racks worth of Chikara. But Hardcore Homecoming came to Cleveland, and if you sat in the front row, you got a chair that you could take home, a commemorative chair. And Bill Alfonso was the only one that refused to sign properly. He signed it upside down because everybody else signed on the seat, but he signed it upside down, signed it up top, and couldn't quite figure out what year it was. 2005 or 2006. Fonzie was cool though. I asked him about Elegante, and he told me some cool stories. But if you look upside down at some of the talent on that show, got autographs from everybody, and you can see them there. They were awesome. Down there is the entire history of Monday Night Raw. Of course, that's available on the network, as is all those various SmackDowns. Those are all the SmackDown runs. You can kind of see through the collection here, but that's the bulk of the collection. Some shoot interviews and things of that nature in here, but I want to kind of get back to the best of stuff that I put together over the years. A lot of these best of history of Sting, best of Fit Finlay, Bret Hart, the rise of Robin Green, woman, Sarah Del Rey. There's Colt Cabana's European Vacation, which I bought from him back in the day. A lot of these crazy. Here's a Dick Murdoch compilation. Ronnie Garvin, the SAT, Mr. Perfect, Barry Windham, Roddy Piper, the Army of Darkness, Kevin Sullivan, Magnum TA, Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii, Prince Devitt, Rick Rude, Bryan Danielson in Japan again, the Thrill Seekers. There's some TNA, Impact, Global Force. Over here we've got the Midnights. And this is one I wanted to show you guys in particular. I'm really proud of this. Eddie Gilbert, Cactus Jack, two of my all-time favorites. They had a ton of matches together, and it's kind of hard to see here all the various feuds and stipulation matches they had, but they really lit up the Philadelphia territory and had some great matches together. Of course, we got the Midnights in here. We've got a multitude of Young Bucks compilations. The Hard Hit Prince, Kota Ibushi. Very, very proud of that set that I put together. Kota is probably my favorite wrestler in New Japan right now. And, obviously the evidence speaks for itself. But I think what you guys are all willing and ready to get to are shows that we're going to actually cover on an honorable mention in the near future. And by near future, I mean at some point in this millennium. We've got all the various episodes of the Straight Shooting series that my partner was around for. We've got all the Secrets of the Ring. We've got all the best of DVDs, including the very controversial Decade shoot-in review that was done with Jimmy Jacobs and BJ Whitmer. We'll be talking about that, hopefully, in the future. The entire Jimmy Loves Lacey storyline is something I'd like to cover over the course of a month period. There's Do or Die 2 or 3, which we just covered and released on July the 3rd. This monstrosity of an event is well worth the listen. It's available in iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, the Google Music Play Store, and all the other places podcasts can be heard. Now, there's Anthony Boone, who was not on the cover of Madden, but I put him on there because there was a Michigan player on the cover. Now, we're going to look at this Ring of Honor collection here. We start, obviously, from the Era of Honor begins. So let's just get all the way to January of 2004. I've got everything from 03 onward, or from February of 02 onward. So this was the very first show of 2004. And the great thing about this show is Jim Cornette was booked, but didn't drive to the right venues. So he wasn't there. It was also the last show for Christopher Daniels for a long, long time. So a lot of you guys that were big-time Ring of Honor customers, and you would email rohhelp@aol.com. You'd email and bother Ross about how much DVDs cost, or you'd simply ask when the next buy 3, get 1 free sale was. Many of you bought this. Here's the Milestone series. Gabe Sapolsky's arguably his greatest series of shows that he booked in a row. I was at the bulk of those shows, now that I think about it. Pretty amazing. Very fortunate enough to have been at a lot of these shows over the years. Here's a really cool one, and I really want to talk about this show next May, May the 12th. This is Respect is Earned. This is the collector's edition of the show. They did these special, like, soft cover releases. And, you know, inside there's Nigel and Kenta. Really great photo of the Briscoes, too. And, you know, they folded these things out. And these were pretty exclusive to get. But it was the full show, not the version that you would see on G-Funk Sports, live on pay-per-view, on tape. But as we kind of go through this, here's the 5th Year Festival. You guys remember that. And then we kind of start dipping into the Adam Pearce era. The Adam Pearce era began around this time. In fact, this was the second show of the Adam Pearce era in Markham, Ontario, Bound by Hate. So we kind of go through this, and you can see, like, the amount of just insane, library and hours and hours and hours of footage that Ring of Honor has put out over the years. And that doesn't even begin to dip into the 2017 period, 2016, 2017 stuff that I've got stacked up in a box. Here's all the TV that Ring of Honor has ever done. So HDNet included, as well as the SBG era. And that's a hell of a lot of DVDs over the years that I have spent a ton of money on maintaining. The Rare Taste of Honor sampler DVD is right here. Very few people have access to this. I don't even think Shane remembers when this was put out, but it was put out very early on, once the new logo came out, post the ownership change to Kerry Silken, Secrets of the Ring. So we're going to be talking about all of these shows and much, 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 much more. Profile shows will be back down the line, but we're going to give you guys this little bonus here, a little bit of a mini episode, if you will, of an honorable mention. Wanted to welcome, thank you guys for joining me in my home, in my little office, and my weird vertical room in my house. My house for now. When I moved in here almost 3 years ago, I thought, well, this is going to be a perfect room for all the DVDs that I'll acquire and put together over the years. Little did I know that people like High Spots and Power Slam and Powerbomb.tv and ROH, TNA, WWE, they'd all have streaming services where I didn't have to have physical copies of anything ever again. So maybe one day this will all be stacked on a hard drive somewhere. But for now, this has been a special YouTube exclusive of an honorable mention. No need to trip out. It's time to dip out. Slap the porpoise. This one's over. We're out. Be sure to join us next Tuesday, July 10th, for a night of hoopla! Coming to all your podcast providers. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at AnHonorablePod, Facebook.com/AnHonorableMention, at Hagadorn Shane, at the Jeff Schwartz on Twitter and Instagram as well. And be sure to check us out on all those platforms. Greatly appreciate you guys joining us. And we'll see you Tuesday for a night of hoopla. We are out.